listening to Inclusive AF with Jackie Clayton and Katie Van Horn.
All right. Welcome to the Inclusive AF podcast. This is Katie Van Horn, and my co-host is stuck. So she is not joining us right now, but hopefully she will join us here shortly. But we want to get started and have a great conversation with our latest guest and talk about some of the current events that are going on and what his organization does. So, Stefaan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Would love for you to introduce yourself and share a little bit about who you are, your identity, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Katie, for having me on the show. It's really awesome to be here. So my name is Stefaan De Vreese. I'm from Belgium, born and raised in Belgium, and I'm the founder and the CEO of Titanology. And Titanology is a business development platform for LGBTQ plus business owners. It's something that I started after COVID hit. I think for a lot of people, a lot of things changed in their lives. The same was for me. And I was looking for what do I want to do now? Because everything that I was doing just halted, like it was done. So I had to find something else, let's say. And I really wanted to do something for our community because I wanted to find my place in the community as well. And then it made so much sense to combine my experience of coaching, of business building, entrepreneurship, and doing it for our community. It made so much sense that I started to do Titanology. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm doing this full time and I'm building a great team and I enjoy doing this. For me, it doesn't even feel like working anymore, I say these days. So it's really a passion. So that's who I am. I'm almost 43 years old, by the way, and I came out when I was 36. So in many ways, a lot of people call me still a baby gay.
Yes.
So that's a little bit of my story, let's say.
Awesome. Very cool. And so I would love to start off with a little bit about kind of your story, but also your story in regards to Belgium. So a lot of our folks are in the US that are listening. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things that I think would be good to just kind of level set folks on what the temperature is in Belgium in regards to LGBTQI plus folks, yeah. and kind of what that has been like for you as you have kind of evolved and been on your journey.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's something that is so different than in many parts of the world, I would say, because since I started Titanology, I also started to create a community of LGBTQ plus business owners, and I was also looking for others. So I was trying to combine everything to create that community. But the thing is, here in Belgium and in this region, let's say in Europe, Central Europe, it's really not that, how should I say this? It's not really that common that we typically only do something for LGBTQ plus. And that might seem weird sometimes because in other areas like in the US or even in Eastern Europe and so on, that's really common because it's still needed there to have that kind of a community to show each other and to show the society that we are still here and that we're here to stay, right? But again, here in Belgium, it's something, but it's not on the top of everybody's mind because everybody feels like the LGBTQ plus community is very much accepted here, right? So it also means that not a lot of people from our community even feel the necessity to come together sometimes, right? Because when I was building that kind of community for business owners, I wanted to create like a business chamber here in the BeNeLux. So Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, that kind of area. And I was surprised that it didn't exist yet. And many of the comments that we got was like, yeah, but why is this needed? Why would you create something specifically for the LGBTQ plus community? Everybody's the same right now, right? And that's like a little bit the feeling here in Belgium, I would say, in the Netherlands even more, right? And that's different with what we're seeing in other places, even in the US right now, with what's happening with all these bills. Let's say it's crazy to see this happening. And that's if we look at that from within Belgium, let's say, we find that crazy. Like we can't really believe like what's happening right there. Because we also know how it is here in Eastern Europe, for example, where there's like in Serbia, where there was really a fight to have a pride on the streets, and people have to fight actually for their lives to be able to do that. And then if you see how the US is treating this, it's like, I don't know, it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, we're moving backwards, unfortunately, in the US in many, many ways. And so, it's something that I think for so many of us, it's absolutely not where we want to be going. And I think there's also so much to the conversation that there's just a lot. But I agree with you. I think, some of the countries in Europe, they are so far advanced from where we are. And I think, of course, in the US, we are taught that, we're the greatest and we're the best and all these things, but we know we're not. And we know that we are behind the times, and we are behind kind of who is out there, who needs our support, who has been historically marginalized and continues to be marginalized. And so I would love for you to talk a little bit about Titanology and kind of what this community does and how does it support the folks in your area, but also if it's a global like community.
Yeah, because the thing is with Titanology, why I created it in the first place, specifically for LGBTQ+, was that there's a lot of programs out there, like a lot of business development programs that help people build their businesses and whatnot. But unless you are part of a business chamber, which is very common in the US, but not so common here in Europe, for instance, or even the other parts of the world, you don't really have a choice in if you want to choose a business development program. You get into what is existing, and in many cases, it's not really catered for LGBTQ+. I went through such a program and I felt that I had to go back in the closet actually, because people ask like, oh yeah, how is your wife and how is the children? How's your, and okay, I can say like I'm gay and I have a partner, but honestly, I don't want to explain myself, right? It should be a non-issue. And I just want to talk about building business, but I also don't want to not talk about it, if that makes sense, right? So that's why within Titanology, I want to create that kind of place where we talk about business building, first of all. But if it's something comes up that is about the LGBTQ+ community, we can talk about it. It's not an issue. Like if you're trans, if you're lesbian, whatever it is, right? It doesn't really matter. If you have an issue, if you have something specific that relates to the community, then we can immediately talk about it without having it to be weird, right? I have some business owners that told me like, yeah, if we have to go to customers, then the first thing is like, yeah, how's your partner and how's your kids or whatever, And again, for everybody, it's the same. Like it feels like you have to explain yourself. I don't want to do that. I don't want anybody to have the feeling to do that. So that's a big one for us, for Titanology. And at the same time, for me, it's also important to show society that it's not because we're LGBTQ+ that we can only do a colorful cookie bakery or being a hairdresser or something like that, right? We are so powerful. I want to bring that story. I want to bring that message that we are so powerful, more powerful than we think. We can do anything we want to. I want to also help people that want to do that. I want to build their business around their passion and show society that we can become big businesses or just a good accountant or whatever we want it to be, right? And I think those two pieces are very important to me, are very dear to my heart, is the philosophy and the vision of Titanology. And I want to bring this message across the world, really, and show everybody that it shouldn't matter if we're part of the LGBTQ+, but if we are, that people realize that it makes us even more powerful and more unique, so that it's almost becoming a uniqueness within our business that can differentiate ourselves from others. Because we look at things differently. If you think about it, we are so open-minded that we tackle problems differently, which is good. I mean, in many cases, it's good to have something else than what has been done for 20 years already. So, yeah.
I think that's great. And I would be interested to know, what has the response been, and, kind of breaking this out into two different pieces, what's the response been from the other business owners that are joining this group? But then also, what has the response been from your customer base or from new customers that are coming in?
I mean, everybody that joins us understands the philosophy and understands why we do this, right? We occasionally get the response, like if we ran some ads, for example, on Facebook, and we got even the comment that we are discriminating people because we would do it specifically for LGBTQ plus. Like, even those comments we still get, right? But I would say, like, look, everybody that we have worked with until now are very happy with what we're doing. We have allies as customers as well. So anybody that feels comfortable being surrounded by LGBTQ plus people and entrepreneurs, they are welcome, right? And I wouldn't want to work with anybody else anyway, right? If they wouldn't support the community, why would I even want to work with them? And I say this as well to our customers, to LGBTQ plus business owners that feel almost a fear to express the fact that they are part of our community. I tell them, like, look, would you even want to work with people that wouldn't support you with this? And I would say no, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to work with those kind of people anyway. So that's my take on it. So I would say it's a non-issue, but it's still something we need to bring on the table every single time, that it's not because we're LGBTQ plus that we cannot do more than what you think we can, right? And if it's not an issue for them, let's just grow together. That's how it is. Yeah.
That's great. And so I love that you, kind of allow allies to be a part of the conversation as well. Because I think that's, I myself, I talk about the fact that I do diversity, equity, and inclusion work, but I am a straight white woman doing this work. And so there is the, what I want to do is, be arm in arm with folks and really help however I can and support however I can. And that does include voting with your dollars. And, we talk about that in the US, and I'm sure, in the EU as well, that it is how do you think about the leverage that is there from a dollars perspective, or euros or whatever we want to talk about, I should say. And, what are, like, how do you think about that? And how do you talk about that as, the leverage of the actual dollars in this community and how that really impacts things?
Honestly, it would be more related to if you would target B2C almost. In the conversation B2B, to be honest, I haven't had that conversation that much about the fact that we have a bigger buying power. We do, right? There are studies about this. There are numbers about this. I mean, if we did the study for the Business Chamber here in Belgium, we came up with an amount of 72,000 LGBTQ plus businesses here in this region alone. So there's many people doing already businesses, and we have a big buying power. But if we're talking about how to leverage what we have, yes, if you're targeting LGBTQ plus, it's something to keep in mind. But at the same time, let's just work from our power as being open-minded, creative, doing things differently than so much about looking at, like, let's target the LGBTQ plus community because they have a lot of money, right? We are very sensitive here about pinkwashing and so on. even if it's B2B between businesses from our community, that is still very sensitive topic. Also, making profit, for example, is still a sensitive topic within the community. So I don't talk about it that much, to be honest, right? I just talk more about the fact that our skills, our mindset, our way of doing things is more important than anything else.
Absolutely. I love the way that you're thinking about that. And I love that it is almost, I won't say a non-issue, but that it is hey, we're trying to really focus on how do we help these businesses.
Yeah.
So let me put myself in the shoe. I am a small business owner. So let me
Yeah.
put myself into the shoes. And, if you are part of the LGBTQ community and you have a small business, what are the services, what are the things that you're going to help these businesses do and help them obviously to increase sales, all those good things?
Yeah. We really help people to build a business that doesn't rely on themselves alone to run, right? Like, why did we build a business? Why did we start a business? In many cases, we wanted to create freedom for ourselves, right? We were stuck in a bad situation on our job, whatever, and we wanted to create something for ourselves because then we have the freedom to do whatever we want and to build our life of our dreams. So that's what we want to help everybody with, right? If you're in business for a couple of years already, maybe you're stuck in doing everything yourself still, or you're not able to scale beyond what you have right now. Or if you're just starting out, you just want to know what are the basics, right? In any case, what we want really to do is to help everybody to build a business of their dreams around their passion so that they can take the freedom, they can achieve the freedom. And one of the catchphrases that we used these days is like, we want to help you build a business that can allow you to go on a 4-week holiday without the business breaking down around you. And if you come back, that it even runs better than before. I think if you think about that, a lot of people will get that, right?
Yes.
It means that, it means that we work on all different levels. I would say the most important ones are the systems, right? Is the team, very important, is leadership as well. And then you have some more specific things like automation or like how to increase profit, but also the strategy around all of that. So we look at these kind of components to improve those components. But in the end, again, it's about creating that freedom. And one of our big, hairy, audacious goals, as we call them, is, for me personally, for Titanology, we want to eradicate LGBTQ plus business failure. That means that if somebody wants to start a business or runs a business, we want to make sure that they never have to go back to working in a bad situation, 9 to 5 or anything like that. If they want to build a business because they're passionate about it, because they want to have that freedom, I want to make sure that they get every single support that they can get to get that. That's what I want for them.
I think, well, first, that is a very big, very audacious goal. I agree. And I think that that's part of, the conversation. And we know, and I can only quote kind of the US stats. I don't know globally, but for small business owners, to get to 1 year, to get to 5 years, it is a very complicated situation. Yeah. And so many businesses do fail for so many reasons. And so I love that you have this, the coaching and the, kind of the support available for those things. Like, for myself, the things that you just don't realize. Okay, taxes. Yeah. Do you have an accountant? Do you have all of these different things that you just, if you've never done it before, you don't know. And so having that support system is just critical. So I love that you're doing that. Go ahead.
No, like I wanted to add to this is not just the coaching, but also to creating that community. Also being part of a group of people that are doing the same thing from our community, right? Because what I also see, Katie, is that a lot of people from our community are even scared to start their own business. Because in many cases, we have gone through a lot ourselves, right? I mean, the coming out story and whatnot. And a lot of people are reluctant to start a business because they feel like, okay, but then I'm just going to go back into that kind of stressful situation and whatnot. But I try to turn that around, and I would say to anybody, like if you've gone through the hardship of coming out and so on, it creates that kind of resilience that you actually need to build a good business. So honestly, we are better equipped to run a business than anybody else, if you look at it that way. So I try to really make it a positive thing. And again, being surrounded by people that have gone through a lot of these hardships, that can talk about it freely, that there's no holding back. There's no fear of telling somebody what you have gone through. I mean, that's so powerful to have it. Where do you have that actually within our community? And that's for me very, very important as well.
Well, and I'm kind of pulling things together, and tell me if I'm going down the wrong path, but you mentioned earlier, you don't want to always have to talk about it or lead with, here's my story, or here's my family, or whatever that might be. And I think that's a critical piece too, is it's scary to start your own business and then layer on top of it, will I be judged? Will there be bias? Will there be all these things that I have to deal with if I do come out, or if I do share who I am authentically? And so I think that, that's a very real fear for folks. And to be able to say, here's this whole community that's done it and is in different stages, like, how beautiful is that they can then go, it's okay. It's going to be okay. I can deliver. I can use my creativity and build whatever it is that I'm building.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing, right? That's so powerful about it. And at the same time, like, what we are doing is so important for our community as well. Like anybody that is building a business right now, if you think about it, what we're also doing is building a team within each of these businesses. And us as business owners, what do we look for if you're building a team? We want to be also building a diverse and inclusive team, right? So at the same time, we're not just creating our own freedom as business owners, we're also creating better workplaces for people from our community. So even if they don't want to start a business, they at least have the option to join a company that has a great atmosphere, that has a great culture around diversity and inclusion. So if you think about that as well, it's like a combination of the best within what we can do for our communities. So that's why it's so important that we support each other to create these kind of places.
Absolutely. And I think when you have folks who are leading with empathy because they have lived through, as you mentioned earlier, some of these very hard times, very hard situations, they are going to have a different viewpoint and perspective on how do you build a team, and also what you don't want in a team. We talk a lot about, hey, we want this certain culture, we want that certain culture, we want these things. But it's also talking about, what don't you want in your culture? What don't you want on the team that would be a deal breaker? I mean, we've all heard the horror stories of teams that have, these folks that are not behaving the way that we would want them to. And so I think being able to step back and say, this is what we don't want, and this is what we do want, and really being clear on that as a leader, as you're building your team, and having, again, this kind of network of folks that you can leverage to say, how do I do this the right way, is huge. So that's fantastic.
That's awesome. Absolutely.
So I would love to, if we can back up a bit, I want to, your story is interesting for a lot of different ways, but you mentioned something at the beginning about, coming out of the closet and really sharing your authentic self when you turned 36 years old. And so I would love for you to share whatever you feel comfortable sharing about, kind of what your story is and how you came out, all that good stuff, and why did it happen at 36?
Oof. I will try to make it short, Katie. Um, yeah, it started basically when I was 26, actually, the whole story. When I was 26, I was living with a roommate. I started to get feelings for him. So at that age, I already knew that I was actually gay, right? Or at least could have feelings for men. But at that time, a lot of stuff happened personally, and I was in a basketball environment. I was a basketball coach, and I wanted to be very ambitious, and I wanted to be a professional basketball coach. And I always had to believe that if I come out, then I will never achieve that goal because nobody wants to have a gay coach. That was my belief. It's not true, by the way. Anybody that's listening, I was wrong, right? I shouldn't have thought like that, but I did. And I held that for myself for 10 years because I was really coming out to everybody at 36. So that will already tell you a little bit like how my mindset was, what I had to go through for a decade, actually, that I just didn't do anything with my authentic self. And then at 36, the basketball club where I was coaching said they don't want to work with me anymore. And basically my world crumbled down. Like I had nothing to show for anymore. Like basketball was done. I was not happy about it. So I just cut all ties. And I said to myself, look, I was holding myself back for a decade for this. Like, no way, there's no way in hell that I'm going to continue like this for the rest of my life. So I decided there and then that it was time to step into my authentic self and to come out and to live the life as a true authentic gay man. Now it took a couple of more years before I really found my place in the community. Like I said, like it took COVID actually to also make me realize that I hadn't found my place yet, right? And that's how it really transitioned from trying to catch up all the time that I lost, because between 36 and what was it, 2021, so about 5 years that I was just living the life and doing whatever and trying everything and everything, but that didn't make me feel like really fulfilled or anything like that. Like I was always thinking like, is this it? Like really? And it wasn't until COVID and I had to rethink the things and that I felt like, but I really want to actually make an impact here. Like I don't just want to be all the things that I have done in the basketball world and not coming out and all of that stuff to be for nothing. So that's why I want to make this impact in our community. That's why I have Titanology. I'm the co-founder of a business chamber now. I'm a co-founder now also of another LGBTQ plus community. I just want to create the impact, right? So that everybody that goes through what I have gone through can get better help than me, right? And maybe at a certain stage, I will have to go back into the sports world and also create an impact there. But that's a bit the story of my coming out. And I would say I don't regret it because I'm here because of that, right? This is what I'm doing right now because I have gone through all of that. So I'm using it in a way to power myself, to tell myself that I can do this, that look what I have built here, and to show people that it is possible as well. So yeah, that's the story, the backstory of all of it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And I know, for our listeners, I think a lot of times we like to hear these stories, and I also like folks to share them because humanizing this work and humanizing groups that have been historically marginalized, I think that's also where we start to change the beliefs and feelings and all of that, and that's really where we start to see the impact. So even the fact that you were a late bloomer or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's also the being able to say, let's step back and and also figure out what makes sense for you. And being able to, like, it's interesting because, you're talking about at 36 coming out, or, the 26 to 36, just trying to figure out who you were. And I think for so many of us, we can absolutely relate to that we all went through that process of who are we? How are we going to show up in the world? What is the impact? And I think especially for, our generation that's working right now, impact is such a critical piece to the puzzle. And I think even more so now with COVID and so many of the other things that we're seeing happening in the world. And so, I love that impact is it keeps coming back to that.
Crucial.
Great. That's great.
Crucial.
So tell me, what's next for you, and what are you working on next? What's coming up next?
For me, it's keep building technology. It's keep spreading the word. It's showing everybody how powerful we can be, and that we can really build our dream lives if we want to, if we can step into that power. That's really the message that I want to keep bringing. And so it also means that I need to build technology to a size of a business that I can support that message for everybody. So for technology in the next few months is keep building, is keep spreading the word by platforms like these, which I want to thank you again, Katie, for having the opportunity here, and showing everybody how we can really make the world a better place with our own businesses. If we can tap into that and we can show everybody how it's done, that's really what I want to get to. It's a passion for me. It's something that I want to do for the rest of my life. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay. And I will tell as many people as I can what we're doing and why we're doing it as well, because the why is even more important than what we're doing. And that's what I really want in the end. Yeah. That's
great. And I thank you for sharing that, because I think that's one of the pieces too, is that we talk about the overwhelm and the how hard this work is, basically.
Yeah.
And the constant need to kind of have a community around you and have folks that you can reach out to. And, honestly, and our listeners know this, that's how Jackie and I started this podcast, is that we were leaning on each other when all of the social justice issues really started to pop up in 2019 and 2020, and then also COVID, of course. And I think that the piece that I hope folks heard is also just that community building, and how important that network of people that have had similar experiences, that have had similar struggles. And I was a part of a women's CEO group, and it was just so nice to be able to get together like once a quarter and talk about things. And each one of us would come with our like business plan for the quarter and for the year. And then we'd poke holes in the other, each other's stuff to say, what are you forgetting about? What are you not thinking about? And I think even that, having that ability to have someone else that can go, hey, what else is missing here? Or, wow, this is great. Go, do all these things. So I think having that community is such a critical piece as well. Do you have that type of kind of cohort mentality as well?
Yes. I don't really call them cohorts. For us, it's really building a big community. Like if people join technology, we don't force them to stay a specific length or anything like that. We just want people to join technology and that they have the feeling that they never need to leave, because everything is within technology. So we want to foster that kind of situation. It's not a mastermind. It's not a coaching business. It's not a group coaching. It's a community that helps each other build better businesses. And we are there as guides. We work together with subject matter experts from other fields, from marketing, sales. Everybody's from the community. So we bring them in also as guides on specific fields. So it's not about me, right? It's about making sure that anybody that joins technology, if they need something, we have a guide that is ready to help them out on any stage of their business. It doesn't really matter where they're at. We have specific guidelines, but again, it's really open. And again, yes, it's community, really. I want to become the biggest business development platform of the world with Titanology. And that happens with building community, right? It happens through showing people that are there, if they are part of this, that they can get the support on every step of the way, from every part of the world. Doesn't matter. We have people from New Zealand, from the US, from the UK, doesn't matter. Anybody that wants to build their dream life is welcome to join. That's just what I want to create for them. I've been able to do this through my own story and through what I have been doing. I want other people to have the same situation. I mean, I told you, like, I don't feel like working anymore. This is not working for me. This is fun. I just enjoy doing this. So if I can help everybody reach the same kind of level of happiness, that's the dream. That's really the dream. And I will tell you this as well, that building a team that helps me with this is so much enjoyable. Like, that's so much, it's fun to do. It's fun to build a team of people that enjoy the culture, that enjoy working with other businesses, that feel like they have also the impact that we're creating for these businesses, that they can bring that impact as well within Titanology. So it's a win-win-win situation for everybody. That's what we want.
Awesome. And so for folks that are listening, and, you know, for folks that are maybe wanting to join this community, I know you said global. So how do folks find you? How do folks join your community?
Well, Titanology is a pretty unique name. So just search Titanology on Google and you will find our website. You are all welcome to join our community. We are on LinkedIn very actively. So you will find us for sure. You will find us. That won't be an issue.
Perfect. And, you know, one of the things we like to do at the end of each episode is talk about what is one thing you want to make sure folks heard during this episode?
Well, for me, it's what we talked about is the impact, right? It's making sure that everybody can have the impact that they want. And if that impact means that you create freedom for yourself, that's fine. If you want to create an impact for other people, perfect, right? And that people also recognize that with our power that we have, and we can show society that we are here to stay. We can build some beautiful businesses. We can build some beautiful communities. And if anything from this episode, just know that you are powerful, you can create the impact, and you can create a beautiful life for yourself. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I kind of will echo your sentiment and say the same thing. And hearing you talk, I think the piece that really resonates with me, and, you know, I can relate from the part of being a small business owner, is that community is critical to your success. And having folks that have been in your shoes, or maybe are in different stages of their business, having them to lean on, to have as just a, you know, hey, I can reach out to folks when I'm struggling with something, or even, you know, as we all know, as small business owners, even throughout the day, the dips and the highs and lows that you go through. And so having a group that you can reach out to and kind of has the similar experience, I think is so great. So Stefaan, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And like he said, you know, look for Titanology on, you know, online, on LinkedIn, et cetera, if you're interested in joining and expanding this community. And thank you all so much for listening. This is Katie Van Horn with the Inclusive AF podcast. And I promise Jackie will be back next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.